So everybody, it's such a proud moment, and I'm so excited to be here in another country. And if I just start with a small beginning of mine, I belong to like a really, really small town in a Himalayan state in India. Like it's a really small town, and it's majorly rural. It's got some industries, and it's got like it's still developing. We've just got like one mall in the city, and this is the place where I have been born and brought up. And then I went to England to study, and I was fortunate and privileged to go to England and study, and I was there for about 4 years. And I did my business studies out there, and I traveled a lot, and I happened to travel Europe as well. But unfortunately, I could not travel to Spain, and I thought that if there wasn't any pandemic, I would have been there in physical space with you all. So thank you so much for to all of you all to invite me, especially the entire team of Sonderlands, be on this podium and talk about a small town girl story of making it international and living up to her dreams. And specifically, when you come from like a small Indian Himalayan town, you do not have access to a lot of things. But I'm so glad that my family, my friends, and supportive teams like Sonderlands and so many other like Forbes and all, they've been so kind to be able to allow me and give me the opportunity to take my story out there to the world and inspire and motivate all of you all. I hope I'm able to do justice to the position and the respect that I've been given by a lot of people. So, starting, as I mentioned, I belong to a very small town in the Himalayan state, and I did not have a lot of privilege as such, what people in Europe would. Like getting great education was an effort for my parents to get me into the best education in India. And then for me, I went on a scholarship to study to England. Otherwise, my family could not afford me to send to England for a graduation. I would have to study in a government college in India. So I was very driven to get best education, and I tried my level best to get a scholarship. Unfortunately, I did. I went to England. I studied business studies there. I got awarded as the Lancaster Award. So I studied at Lancaster. So around 16 people across the university out of 16,000 people get this award. So one in every 1,000 people. And that allowed me to, learn a lot and do a lot many things. Then, my I had plans to be in England, and how every Indian wants to go to England and study there, and then do a job and probably settle there. That's what was also what my dream was. But then my grandmother was really attached to me, and she said, I don't have much time in life. I don't know when will I die. So I really want you to be back. Uh, I came back to my country, and I was, very disturbed when I got back. I was in depression because, I was living here, I was living my dream in England, and then I had to be back, and I was like, oh my God, like it's a mess. It's a mess in the town that I live in. And, I need to do something about it. Either I live with it, or I get depressed about it, or I change something about it. And the kind of person that I am, I thought that no, you know what, I need to bring in some change. And to tell you something, that when I got back in 2014, I was very, very sick. I got a regional disease, which is called dengue in our country. I don't know what you call it in your country, but I got this life-threatening disease. I was bedridden for about 3 months, and that's when I realized something very important. So also, I'm a very spiritual being. I believe in the supreme power, and that everything is very divinely orchestrated if you're on the right path, and your direction is right in terms of your purpose in life is right there. So I realized what my purpose in life was. So as you see on the screen, I'm here to empower people. So what I realized, being on the bed for like 3 months, all I had and all I could do was think and probably write a journal and just meditate, and that's what all I could do. And it got me thinking, and I thought that what is that I have been doing ever since I was a child, and I'm good at, and I can really take that forward, and I think I have the power to do it, and that's the purpose of my life, which is to empower people and community. And trust me, that day, that was like around 12th of December 2014, and today, which is 11th of September 2021, I have been so aligned with my purpose. And it it is this purpose of empowering people and communities that has led me to be able to do so many social enterprises, so many social initiatives. And I think me and my team, we have, I don't know, empowered millions of people and impacted their lives in the most positive way that we could have. So, guys, if you have any idea, I also invest into startups, in social initiatives. If you have any ideas, please drop in and drop a mail to me or contact me through any social media, and I am very good at responding. So, so let's build something amazing together. My passion, like as I told you, my purpose in life is to empower people and community, and my passion is driven from adding value, value addition in the society. How to do that? We all talk about startups here, we talk about making world a better place, but we don't know how do we do it. So the success mantra for me is that you need to understand that anything that you add value to, and you have got that skill to add value to, like, or you can add that value in the society, in the world, in the product, or in the service. I just saw these amazing artists singing on the stage at your event, and I think how they are adding value is they're pumping in so much energy, they're keeping the culture alive, they're keeping the music live, and I think that's how they're adding value in the society, and they are doing a great job at that. So that's one example. I'll take you through my examples in life, and we'll talk about the skills later on. And so these are a few projects, that I started with. So initially, as I mentioned to you, when I came back from India, I got sick, and then I realized what's the purpose of my life. And I started with a small community initiative called the Dehradun Drum Circle. I believe there would be a lot of circles happening in and around your city and in your country. So the reason why I started this was because I felt really discriminated in my own country. And it is amazing that how you feel that, because we live in societies where we are discriminated at every level. We're discriminated as gender, caste, creed, region, religion, you name it, like economic strata. So I felt really upset about this fact that, even before people want to know me for who I am, they're so judgmental about me. And then I went deep into it to understand that why do people think like that. So I realized that, there is less of expression in our society. And because there's less of expression in our society, there is less of acceptance. We don't accept people how they are because we do not know how to express our own selves. So we started this small community. I had these hippie friends who had long dreadlock hairs and tattoos, and this is back India in 2014. And nobody would give them a job in a restaurant to sing, and people would say, oh, you know what, we will not allow you. People would get afraid of you, and you're spoiling the culture, Indian culture, and we will not give you a job here, despite the fact that you might be great musicians. This really got me hooked on to why is it so nobody wants to listen to their music. That's what they do. Forget how they look and how they feel. Like, it doesn't matter, right? And we started this movement, and today it's more than 20,000 people in and around my state who follow this movement. And we do these, community drum circles to eradicate discrimination in our society, and for people to come and express themselves regardless of their age, caste, creed, or gender. So today it's a very, very successful movement, and the way it has value added in our society is phenomenal. There are so many communities coming up. There are so many people who are not discriminated and are getting jobs, not because they belong to a certain strata of the society or a certain gender or a certain class, but because for who they are. So we've really revolutionized this, and because of this, I also got awarded as the youth ambassador of my own state, and got an opportunity to stand for legislative elections and all that stuff. But then my family was like, "You're too young to do this, and you'll spoil your career." And so I just had to sort of not take up that opportunity. And I think it was right, because if I would have gone into the political loop, I think I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of things as civil society that I'm doing now. Because when you get sucked into the political gimmick of things, I think somewhere you also get lost. So, it's something like success might corrupt you, but failure, if you fail and keep doing things again and again, failure doesn't corrupt you, it empowers you. So I think that's the step that I take and I took. And later on, we did one of the drum circles in few villages around my town, and that's where we realized that India lives in her villages. And this is a good quote by Mahatma Gandhi, and that just came so true in front of my eyes, that majority of the Indian population lives in the villages. There are hardly any towns. There are only 30% cities or towns in our country, and all the natural resource is in the countryside, like it's in the villages. And what development, what empowerment are we doing in the village? That that thought didn't let me sleep for about a week or two. Like I couldn't sleep for a week or two, and I realized that uh, like we really need to start working from the grassroots. And there's still a lot of facility in the town for people to learn and do things. And we've already started a movement, and it's become like a self movement, and it will keep going on and growing like a revolution. But what happens to the rural people, the rural economy, the rural part of our country? So I came up with, the easiest way in India to start anything is to start with an NGO. So I launched an NGO by the name of Evolve, and in this we started creating smart, sustainable villages, and this started somewhere in about end of 2015 and beginning of 2016. So it was very interesting. What happened was that how do we empower the villages? And what we realized was that let's start small cottage industries, which and let's make a product in the village, so that we can focus on three areas. Number one was livelihood generation, that people should have some earning, some living, some money to live by, and then skill development and education, and after that, healthcare. So the idea was there, the frame and the structure was there. Now, how to implement it? What product should we launch in from a particular village? So we adopted a village by the name of Tollypur. It's a Jaunsari village. So Jaunsari is a tribal community in our state, in our Himalayan state. So India has around 7 to 8 Himalayan states, and our Himalayan state has one very typical tribal area, and a tribe called Jaunsari. They are matriarchal tribes. They can marry, a woman can marry 5 men. They have a culture of running away to get married, and they call themselves from the lineage of our mythological gods, Pandavas and Ashoka. And it is very interesting that how they keep up with this culture. They do not write their language, and they live in very, very primitive ways. So it got us thinking that we do not speak their language as such, but they're so backward in terms of and they're also suppressed, and they feel inferior, like continuously they feel inferior about their culture. So how do we do something? How do we penetrate first and learn about their culture and then start empowerment? So That took us a while to learn the language and to get into the community, adopt the village, start with developing programs, start talking with them. And once we got onto a friendly relationship with the community, we set up a cottage industry of creating plantable stationery. So, what is plantable stationery? Plantable stationery is a paper and a pencil or a pen made out of like 100% biodegradable raw material like paper pulp and other things, and or hosiery waste, like the paper is made out of hosiery waste, which can further have seeds inside it. So we embed seeds inside the paper and the pen, and once you consume these products, you can put them in a pot and grow them into a plant. So the idea behind this was that how do we create a product first which adds value to these people? Number two, it adds value to the environment. Number three, it adds value to the consumer because the product is of utility, and the product teaches the consumer a lot, teaches consumer how to grow a plant, teaches consumer patience, because it's very easy to go and buy four tomatoes from supermarket and throw two out of them into a bin because probably they've got spoiled or you don't want to eat them anymore. But it is very difficult to grow four tomatoes by yourself in a pot or anywhere, you know. So I think people learned a lot today. We have, I don't know in terms of dollars, I think around 25 uh, $1 million worth of business that we've generated, and we are on the process of growing. So we started with an NGO. We never took any donations from any of the organizations, and we started developing our own product and started developing our own sort of business around it, and gave hired people, gave salaries to people, gave more the facility in terms of developing the entire village for skill development, education, and healthcare. So we've done tremendous work during COVID into the village and other. So it's not so COVID is just another problem in the village. They have a lot more barriers to at a rural level, a lot more barriers to overcome. COVID might be a last thought for them, I believe. They have like childbirth issues and basic sanitation issues and um, women healthcare and hygiene issues and so many more. Like but to be honest, we are the first smart, sustainable village in India, and we've been acclaimed and awarded for this project by the government of India and also the government of Thailand because they really appreciate sustainability. And so after this, and the process kept going, and now it allowed us to think bigger. It allowed us to think bigger in the sense that probably today I'm alive and my partner and my team is alive, and we were able to empower one village. And how can we scale this project up? In my lifetime till I die, I might be able to only empower probably 20 more villages, but there are more than 20,000 villages just in and around my own state. And forget about India, there are like more than 2 million villages in our country, and then the world, and it goes on, right? So how do we scale up the entire project? So while working for about 2.5 years in this village called Tollypur with a primitive tribe of Jaunsaris, what we realized was that 70% of the village population is deployed in farming in our country, and India is an agrarian society. And so how can we empower the farmers, because that's like 70% of the chunk, right? So we realized that like how diverse our country is. There are like so many products, so many fruits, vegetables, spices, herbs, wheat, grain, rice. Like we're one of the most diverse countries when it comes to various food products, and we extensively grow them and export them. But yet the tragedy is, yet our farmers commit suicide, yet they are in deep debts all the time. Like India has a rate of around 20,000 farmers committing suicide like every year, and 20,000, it's off the record because so many of them are not even reported, because that's not something the government wants to portray and show. They want to show the developing side of things. So realizing the fact that, you know, this is like, despite the fact that we do so much of agriculture and so much of exports and so much of business around it, and yet our farmers commit suicide, and there's so much of an opportunity. So what we did was we started channelizing and harnessing, harnessing and channelizing the entire agriculture processes and agriculture things. We went to every state and every agricultural aggregators in those states, and we pinpointed, okay, from this particular Indian state we can take these all products, from this particular Indian state we can take these all products. So now today we have somewhere about 1200 SKUs under our brand, like 1200 products, different type of agriculture based, agro based, that's what we call it, agro based products under our brand called Kiwi Kisan Window. We are a farm to fork model. We are a private limited, like a social enterprise. We have about, somewhere around 17,572. Like, I could be wrong. Like, the numbers go up and down. Like, some people also withdraw sometimes because they might not have the agriculture produce for that time. So about, let's say, 17,700 farmers onboarded with us from across the country, from whom we buy the product on fair trade. So now when we buy the product on fair trade from them, we also teach them the technical know-how of better farming practices, or if they want to get into organic farming, and much more better government schemes and better tools. We also give them credit facility, like a credit line to grow their product so that they're not in debt. We try and help them on, healthcare front and skill development front, which we did in our village. So now this is to a farmer, and we try and do that and try and give him support in his village, at his farm, through technology, through our ecosystem, where we have a lot of more partners in every state to give them such facilities of better farming practices, better government schemes, and also help to get those government schemes and subsidies and skill development and farming practices, and also credit line. We have partnered with a few banks and government organizations to give farmers subsidies and or credit lines, for them to be able to work, like funding a small amount of it's called microfinancing. I don't want to use many technical terms which related to farming and agriculture, because it might be a little difficult, because of the language barrier a little, and also because of, I believe, lack of understanding of the subject. So trying to explain it in a very, very simple and normal manner. And so today we're valued at about, I think, 68 million US dollars. And we have, as I mentioned to you, 17,700 farmers onboarded. We have served to more than 10 million users, like 10 million consumers. We're a D2C brand. We have our own e-com app. We have our own retail stores. We are, exporting the product in the UAE market. I hope very soon we're able to enter the Spanish market as well. And we're there in a lot of supermarkets. Our products are there in a lot of supermarkets and all that stuff. After this, this journey keeps happening. We do a lot of development activities under our foundation. We do empower a lot of farmers, and even for our consumers, like Kiwi Kisan window of opportunity, even for the consumers, because they get a better quality, healthier product, at affordable prices. Otherwise, healthier product or a better product only for the rich, or the creme de la creme, as you say it in French, for that strata of the society. It's not for the masses. So here we are trying to give proper, healthy, nutrition food to the masses at affordable prices and accessible places. So this keeps happening. And then, like, I had an event yesterday called Fuck Up Nights. I started this not in my city but in another city. So we do Fuck Up Nights. It's a Mexican concept. and we have taken the rights from them to do it in India. And it's about celebrating failures. And because I think, as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, that success sometimes corrupts people. It makes them egoistic, it makes them full of themselves. But failures allows you to do better, to learn more, to excel, to keep growing and keep evolving, and it empowers you by the end of the day. If you fall down and walk up again, and fall down and then walk again, and keep walking, like keep doing. That's what I heard in a social media commercial before my speech, that don't settle, keep evolving. So that's something that I started then. And we also had an event in my own hometown yesterday, and we had three beautiful speakers, married women from India, who are completely changing the narrative of married women in India and talking about their failures and their personal failures and their career failures, which were devastating for them. But today they stand uh, very strong, or doing their businesses and being entrepreneurs in the best possible manner, despite the fact that the pandemic really took down a lot of businesses. So that's what we do in Fuck Up Nights. Then we also had another small initiative. So this is another industry that we're trying to get into in terms of empowering the rural India, which is of rural ecotourism, responsible tourism, or rural ecotourism. So what we've done is we have painted, the folklores, the folk stories of the culture belonging, like the culture of that village, onto the walls of the houses of the people. So it becomes like a walk-through museum, and people can see it, things on painted on the wall pictorially. So first project that we did was with our first village, which was Tolipur of the Jaunsari primitive tribe. And we had artists, 200 artists from across the globe, and coming and understanding their stories. It was a 1 week long festival, and everybody coming and painting things on the wall. And today it's a Google acclaimed walkthrough museum. And you can find us on Google Art and Culture and know a little more about the culture of that village. And then you can come and travel. And so every house, one room, every house has one room in which they have given it out for like a homestay, like an Airbnb, and they have programs around it. We've got residency. So by this, people who the 30% people who were left from the farming sector, like some women in the house or somebody else who's not into farming, for them to be able to mobilize their resources now. So this not only helps them economically, but it also helps in reverse migration. Like everybody wants to go to cities, and then cities get completely disastrous and unsustainable, and the village becomes ghost town and abandoned, and people are really not taking care of the villages. And because the people are not taking care, there are no people living there, government does not want to develop it. So now there's reverse migration, because they find income source, they find an economy in the village because of the farming aspect that we're doing, the rural ecotourism, the cottage industry. And now they come back to the village, and the village economy starts getting developed. And because of which now the culture, people do not lose their culture. It doesn't become a monoculture like how it is in an urban center or in a city. It's as diverse. People are proud of their culture. They don't move out. The culture is preserved. The diversity is preserved. The village is more developed. The health and sanitation takes place there. Skill development comes there. Education comes there, and healthcare comes there. So this is what I'm doing, guys, and I hope somewhere you guys do the same for your own hometowns or anywhere in the world, because the world really needs good people like you. And what I suggest is that keep evolving, be kind to one another, and do something that matters. It's so important to do something that matters. I think all of us sitting here are quite privileged. When I say privilege, it's not only money, but I think privilege comes with your capability of doing things. I think there are so many people in the world who do not have that capability in terms of changing their situations in some way or the other, because they're so stuck. I think it's our responsibility and it's our duty to be able to help I would not say help is the wrong word, but empower and support. And rather than giving them a fish, teach them how to fish. You know,
Amazing,
because
Nupur. Thank you so much for this speech. It was amazing. I'm so sorry we have run out of time, but we're so happy to have you. So inspiring.